Sit with your eyes softly closed. Sit buoyant and lifted by the very way with which you see yourself, with which you sit inside of yourself, the way that you connect to yourself. And then the way that you see yourself and connect to yourself begins to inform the way that you see others around you, the world around you. Right? The way we see ourselves and then see the world begins to affect the world and create the world in ways that also affects us and creates us. So when we close our eyes and go inside and maybe even reflect and consider and question how we see ourselves, we consider how we choose to offer ourselves out to the world in the very way that we act, in the things that we say, in the way that we think, in the way that we look at each other, in all ways imaginable. So we seek to offer in ways that enhance, increase the value, increase the meaning, not just for ourselves, but for those around us, for the world around us. Right? With that in our bodies and hearts, in our minds, right? We fold our hands together in front of an open heart, and we offer out with consideration for how our offerings may affect, right, each other in the world. Here to begin in the simple sound of Om 3 times together to begin. Deep breath in. To yourself and each other you bow. Lower your hands, lift your head, open your eyes. Please come to all fours. Come to your hands and your knees. Place your hands such that your wrist creases are forward of your shoulders by a little bit, right? To use an inexact term, right? Wrist creases straight across. Spread your fingers evenly and anchor down through the inner edges of your hands. Flex your feet, which means tuck your toes under. Keep the inner edges of your hands, right, down. As you inhale, move your sit bones up and back to curve your low back. But as you curve your low back, seek not just to excessively and continually curve your low back, but also maintain engagement in your midsection, your abdominals, right? So that as your low back moves in and up, right, there's a stability as much as there is a movement and an arch, as it were, in your low back. On your next inhalation, please lift your knees and hips up and back. Come into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right? You can look back at your feet, make sure your feet are parallel, which means pointing straight ahead. have the distance between your hands and feet such that you can curve your low back. Like it isn't necessarily wrong to do like a shorter downward facing dog. It just, for most of us, as you shorten, it makes it harder to get a curve in the low back. Right? Anchor down through the inner edges of your hands. Anchor down through the inner edges of your feet, like I might say even longer. Right? Like your heels may touch down, they may not touch down, but resist the tendency to shorten the length of your stance to get your heels down, right? Because more important to curve your low back than to ground down through your heels, right? On the bottom of your exhalation, please step your right foot a foot length forward, a foot length, which is like somewhere between probably a size 7 and a size 12, you know, like that way. Straighten both legs. Your left foot can even lift off the ground, you know, like Annie here in the front is doing, but anchor down through the inner heel, right? Keep both arms straight. If you have more extendable calves, you may need to even step your foot further forward, right? But you should be experiencing something like a stretch in the back, right, of your forward foot, the back of the lower leg, your calf. Okay, step that foot back, step the other one forward. Right? You can squeeze right above the kneecap of your forward, right, forward leg. Squeeze above the kneecap, right? Keep your feet, both of them, straight ahead, parallel. Right? The inner edges of your hands, when I say that, I mean like the index finger, thumb side of your hand. Keep that anchored down. Okay, walk back both feet so that they're even, equidistant from both the top of your mat and the middle of your mat. Like it's very common that one foot may be forward, one foot may be more lateral, right? You may need to look, right? As you press your hands down, right? Lift your arm bones up and stretch back. Like even go longer, like that way. Right? Even if your heels come up and do the action of anchoring down. The bottom of your exhalation, please step your right leg forward. Bend your right leg 90 degrees with the knee over the ankle. Right? Have your right foot straight. Press now from your pelvis down to your feet. Inhale, rise up. Lift your torso up. Just put your hands on your hip. Hips like you're being sassy. Like that, sassy, right? Lift your chest up, lift the top of your sternum. It's one of my favorite anatomical terms, manubrium. Manubrium, that's this part of the sternum. Engage your upper back, pin your shoulders back. Okay, stretch your left arm, right? Your left arm, your back leg side arm out, right? Lower the hand, lift the arm bone, plug the arm bone back. Stretch the arm up, right, like that way. Keep the bend in the front leg. If you want to progress the effect, right, side bend toward your front leg, right, because the psoas, the main hip flexor, goes all the way up here, right, and one of the functions of the psoas is that when it contracts, right, like if your left psoas contracted, it would pull you, it would do lateral spinal flexion to the left. So when you side bend to the right, you're stretching more the upper fibers of the psoas, even rotate open, like your left rib cage towards your back leg. Reach out through your fingertips, take one more breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, put both hands down. Please step back to downward facing dog. All right, check your hands, check your feet, either with some sense that you have, either by feel, visually, you can look, right? Bottom of your exhalation, please step your left leg forward. Right, get the ankle under the knee with the thigh bone parallel to the floor. Press down, inhale, rise up. Right, get the chest up. Right, stretch your back leg side arm out, your right, like this way. Spread your fingers. I mean, you can do it like this way, but you know, does anyone really walk around like that? Right? You shake someone's hand like that? I don't know. Right? Lift your arm bone up and back, plug back, stretch up. Right? Side bend maybe. Maybe you stay more symmetrical or in the sagittal plane. Right? Maybe rotate open. Right? So you're going in more into the transverse plane here. It's more of a twist. It's more complex for sure. Right? Enjoy just one more breath. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bow forward. Step back to plank pose. Does everyone have their block handy? Could you grab your block with your hand or your foot somehow? Right? Even without putting your knees down, that could be fun, but let's see how Annie does. And then insert your block in plank between your upper inner thighs. And do plank, right? So when people talk about, you know, the core, there's all kinds of, that's a whole big conversation in and of itself. Turn your fingers out a little bit. When people talk about the core, it's not like just the abdominals. There's layers of the core and intrinsic layers, et cetera, not to get off on a whole tangent. But the adductors, your upper inner thigh muscles, are distinctly part of the core, right? So squeeze the block, right? Squeeze the block, right? Here in plank pose, tone your belly, like do what I call, and I'm not the only one who calls it, people in the movement world will call like a drawing in maneuver in your lower belly. Locate with your awareness your tush, and I mean like right in the middle, right, of your tush, right? Right sort of where like this stripe is going across like Annie's backside. My hand is some distance above her, like this way. That's right where like the main gluteus maximus is, right? Tone that, right? Tone your inner thighs by hugging into your block. Okay, everyone got that? Okay, now do a twisted plank, turn to the side of your left foot and stack your right foot on top with your block, but do a twisted plank, not Vashisthasana. So that's side plank. Keep both hands, in other words, down on the floor. Right? Keep both hands down on the floor. Squeeze the block. Yes, your top foot, your right foot, will be floating above your left foot because you have a block, if you may not have noticed, between your inner thighs. Okay? Okay, turn back to center and then turn to the side of your right foot. Keep both hands down. Keep your hips, right, the same height. Tone your belly. Tone your buttocks. Like if you excessively, like I'm showing now, if you overarch your low back, you know, these muscles are working like a ton on the backside, in the front, not enough. Right? So it's balance on both sides of the joints. Right? Inhale, come back to center, stretch back to down dog with the block still. This is, in this class, this is called a rest right now, like this way. Okay, now come on your next exhalation, come onto your right forearm in now forearm Vashisthasana. Right? Place your left hand initially on your left hip. So you still have a block between your inner thighs. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't notice. Right, like that way. Okay, I'm going to try to talk everyone through this. If we need any kind of a demonstration, we'll do it, but I'll try to be as clear and articulate as possible. Right? Inhale, stretch your left arm straight up. Okay? On your next exhalation, turn down to the floor, right? Chest down. Thread your left arm under your torso and out to the right. Like that way. But your feet, your top foot has to come down like chaturanga. And then inhale, go back up. That's right. Right? So it's this way. And then your left foot comes down, you have a block, and then reach your left hand to the right like you're trying to touch the person over on the other side of you. Okay? Inhale, go back up. Okay? Exhale, turn down. Reach through. The left foot comes down, right? Like Sue is doing. Right? Inhale, go up. Right? Turn down, put the left arm down. That makes sense to everyone? So that's forearm plank, right? So forearm plank, keep your left arm bone up and back, squeeze the block, open the top arm up. Try not to panic, right? And then exhale, turn down. Your right foot comes down, so your feet are like a normal plank. Reach your right arm under your torso and out as far as you can to your left. And then inhale, come back up. Slower is going to work better relative to control. Right? I'm not saying fast is bad, but slower will help you control. Okay? Exhale, turn down. This is number 2. We'll do one more like this. Reach all the way over like you're trying to give like a high five to someone. And then inhale, open up. And then one more. Exhale, turn down. Reach through. Right? Inhale, open up. Hold it for a count like you're disappointed ever not to do this. Right? And then exhale, turn down. Put your hand down, stretch back to down dog, and remove the block from your inner thighs. You could lay it, you could drop it like you were laying an egg, or actually grab it with your hands. Right, so those are your adductors, right? That was like isometric work for your upper inner thighs. Right? Keep the middle 3 fingers spreading as much as your thumb and pinky. Right? Press your hands down, stretch your hips up and back. Ground your thighs back, curve your lower back. So you need to tone the muscles at the bottom part of your spine. Those are groupings of erector spinae, right? Way down there, to extend the spine way down there. Right? Okay, bottom of your exhalation, step your right foot and then your left foot all the way up between your hands. Right? Separate your feet as wide as you need to fold forward in Uttanasana, which means that if you're tighter in your hamstrings, you could raise the floor by bringing your hands to your block or to your legs somewhere. Right? Also, taking your feet wider apart would help your cause. Right? But get the curve. You know, if you notice, you know, Annie's low back, the lumbar spine is below the top of the sacrum, right? Then you're good to go. If the lumbar is rounded up or there's excessive flexion in the lumbar spine, bending over is more deleterious, harmful, right, to the discs in your lower back, right? Which is why people oftentimes may injure their low back bending over to pick up something heavy if their low back rounds. Okay, place your hands on your hips, engage your upper back to pin your shoulders back, press down, Keep your ears in line with the center of your shoulders. Like squeeze the straps on your top, right? Press down, inhale, rise up, right? Keep the belly toned, scoop the buttocks down to come all the way up. Okay, fantastic. Grab your blanket and fold your blanket just kind of sort of like that. Place your blanket on your mat and then stand with your right heel up on the blanket and the ball of your foot in front of the blanket. So blanket under heel to, minimize the turning out of the foot and the knocking in of the knee. Lift your left foot up. Put your hands on your hips, right? Tone your belly. So you just need to bend your lifted leg a little bit and float, right? Float your foot above the floor. Keep your torso lifted, and then exhale, bend down into Ekapada, right? Utkatasana, a single leg squat. Keep your knee tracking so that your knee is pointing towards the middle of your foot, and press down and inhale, come up. Okay, now if that was like super easy relative to balance and stability and everything like that, some of you could take your arms up this way in full shoulder flexion with the arm extended at the elbow joint. You could do like this, right? With your arms out to the side, like you when you hold a pole and walk on the trapeze line, tightrope, whatever it's called, like that way. So here, right? Do 9 more. Exhale down, inhale up, super duper on the controlled side, go down like as much as like chair height, which I think is sort of, right, average chair height according to the American Council of Chair Makers is like 18 inches or something like that, 17 or 18 inches, something like that. It's a little bit lower than you may think, right? Do a grand total of 10, right? If your knee knocks in, right, you either have to be better with opening the knee or don't go any lower, okay? After you do 10 on the other leg. The American Chair Manufacturing Council, right? Yeah, so the lifted leg, it's just floating, okay? Keep your belly toned to anchor your front ribs down. Like before you move like your arms and your legs, do as a sort of general guideline, right? I hesitate to say rule, but guideline, do engage the muscles in your core. Rather than the muscles in your core doing shavasana. Right? 10. Okay, now take your blankets and make a sort of accordion fold of your blanket. Okay? Now, like this way. Okay, this is very complex. Blanket folding 101. Right? Now you could, I'll show what we're going to do, and then there's stages where you could not be on a blanket. Okay? And then stand with your right foot again in the middle of the blanket. That's going to matter. Don't go off to either side, because the whole thing will get a little catawampus, is the word I learned in southern Indiana. Okay? And then this leg bends, right? This leg bends. Now, this might be a thing for you. In other words, we're now diminishing the foundational contact, right? So the stability is a little bit harder, right? So just doing this and just doing this like a little bit might be challenging enough for you. Some of you, right, can go down and maybe touch here or maybe touch the floor this way, right? And then come back up and live to tell about it. Some of you could even twist, which is the most complex, right? Because you're now bringing in the transverse plane. You gotta engage even more to stabilize, and you might be able to twist and touch down there and come back up. You could use your block, right, this way to raise the floor and simply touch the floor, right? Or put the block out there, or even hold the block, right, like this way. But you want to keep a curve in your low back, right? So the standing leg, like if you bend it a little bit, and then when you come up, you push down through your heel and you straighten it, you will get much more buttock work on that standing side. 10 times. Okay? So everyone doing something in this world, right? Like just standing this way and doing little movements might be like where your bar of challenge is, okay? Go down on an exhale, right? Stand back up on an inhale. The lifted leg straightens, right? Just like Parivrtta Ardhachandrasana or Virabhadrasana number 3, which you may know. You know, you may determine that 7 is your 10. You know, if orange is the new black, 7 can be your 10. But you never thought about it like that, did you? Yeah. Like, you know, I give you a number like 10, you know, your challenge could be 15 as well. Right? Side 2 when you're ready. I find that the stability and balance is better when the more quiet I am. I like it. You could cut the focus and intensity with a knife, as they say. Someone said that. Okay. Okay. One more thing with the blanket. Place your blanket. This is my version of restoratives, as you know, because we're using a prop, and we're using like props. Yes, and it's soft. It's even more restorative. This will restore your feet. Okay, so this is a foot cushion. Right? I guess you could think of it as. You know, I never understood why. Like, I see props, and I try to figure out how to use them to make things more challenging. Right? Straight arm plank with your feet on a blanket. Now, your feet on your mat, right? Like this again, this kind of thing would be easier, more doable, right? Like that way. Feet on a blanket if you wanted to make it, but I got to resist this tendency, right? So in other words, I'm excessively doing anterior pelvic tilt. I need to tone my belly and my tush. And if I wanted to make it, more challenging, I could play with increasing the distance between my feet and my hands. Okay, but not at the expense, of your lower back. Okay? Another way that some of you may like to, because I know this won't be challenging enough for a bunch of you, right? Some of you might want to lift one foot up. Okay? Like this way. Okay. It'll be great. Right? It's a quote Annie Masters. Okay, so hands on your mat, feet on your blanket, or you could keep your feet on your mat. You could also really modify it like what Sue's doing. Sue, can you put your knees down? You could do plank here, like this might be challenging enough for you. Okay, ready, set, go. Stretch through your heels as much as through the balls of your feet. In other words, try to have your heels like above the ball of your foot or even back, depending on your calf flexibility, rather than shifting to the tips of your toes. You could try to make it longer, possibly. You could play with lifting one leg up. If you lift a leg up, try not to lift your hips up. And then if a leg is up, put it down, do the other one. We're almost there, wherever there is. Okay, put that foot down, bend your knees to the floor. That's restorative plank, right? Done with a blanket. Okay, downward facing dog. Now we're ready. Okay, bottom of your exhalation, right leg forward, Parsvakonasana with the forearm above the knee. We could call that sort of like the modified or regressed, you'll hear me say a bunch. Go long enough so you can bend your right leg 90 degrees. Have your right knee over your ankle, maybe like a little bit longer. Okay. Back foot parallel to the back edge of your mat or slightly toed in. Right? Stretch your left arm straight out overhead with your arm straight. Right? That way. Some of you on your next exhalation could put your hand on the floor outside your right foot or hand on a block. Hand on a block would be sort of the intermediate stage, as it were. Hand on the floor, the full form. Some of you could even put your right hand possibly flat on the floor, right? Body proportion and other things play into that, but hand flat on the floor is in no way wrong, right? Like that way. All depends on who you are. Enjoy one more breath. As you open, keep your front ribs anchored down. Press from your pelvis through your feet. Inhale, come up, warrior number 2. When you lift your torso up, keep your front leg bent. So that your femur parallel to the floor. If you want to amp up the work in your front quad, right, which Annie loves to do, lift the ball of your foot up that way, but keep the bend in your front leg. Okay? And if you lift the ball of your foot up, press equally through the inner edge of the heel as much as you do the outer edge of your heel, meaning resist the tendency to roll to the outer edge of the foot. Enjoy just one more breath. If your ball of your foot is up, put it down. Exhale, turn down to the floor, spin your back heel up. step back to plank pose. Shift your chest and face forward. Keep your ears in line with your shoulders, meaning like you guys are doing fantastic, but like I'm doing the tendency to push the face forward, right? Because even more and more in our society, I think everyone's working on screens. So we're developing what physical therapists and chiropractors and folks in the medical world will call forward head. That's what they mean, that pushing forward of the face, which has a whole bunch. Does anyone have any questions? Which has like a whole bunch of sort of deleterious results muscularly and joint-wise. Shift your chest and face forward. Exhale, do a slow motion Chaturanga Dandasana. The fronts of your shoulders, elbow height. Inhale, come back up until your arms are straight. Right? Everyone say 1. Or you could say eka, right? Like that way. Keep your belly toned and your tush toned. Right? Shift forward as you inhale. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. You could put your knees down. You could even only lower halfway down. Inhale, come back up to plank. Okay, do 3 more times. Right? This is fantastic. The rhomboids engaged to keep the scapula on this one, right, retracted enough. Once you get to 5, join everyone else in downward facing dog. Enjoy your breath. Right? Enjoy your breath, you know, as a gift. Right? Bottom of your exhalation, left leg, Parsvakonasana, forearm above the knee to start. Do pose length assessment, foot placement assessment, meaning go long enough, bend deep enough so that your left knee is over your ankle with the femur, your thigh bone, parallel to the floor. You can look or feel your back foot, and then top arm straight. Right? Keep in this form the underside shoulder, like the left shoulder, tends to protract or round forward. So yeah, arm bone up and back on the underside here. That's one of the perils of this form. Now, some of you could go to the full form with the hand on the floor, or the intermediate form, which would be hand on a block. The block could be 3 different heights. And as you open, continue to bend your front leg. And as you turn open, keep the front ribs anchored down. We could use that term by toning your abdominals. Press from your pelvis down to your feet. Inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana number 2. Right? Enjoy your possibly burning quadricep on your left side. Maybe. Right? Keep your torso over your pelvis so that, I mean, it bears pointing out, but you know, Annie's shoulders are over her hips. Is like a simpler way to think about it, rather than, you know, the tendency for this sort of thing to be demonstrative, right? Right here, like this way. Lift the ball of your foot up, maybe, right? If you want, right? Yeah, if you want the tattoo on your quadricep to ignite, right? Or whatever, you know, your quadricep to ignite. So reach back like you're grabbing like a glass of lemonade this way, and then resist this thigh back. There you go, like that way, and then keep your torso there bend. If your foot is up, exhale, put your foot down, step back to plank pose. Shift your chest and face forward as you inhale. Okay? As you exhale, lower down to Chaturanga and hold it. and hold it, which may require putting your knees on the floor. Okay, everyone lower down really quick. I can't take it. Okay, good. Lower down, right, like this way. Okay, watch me really quick, because that's, you know, muscles have to be able to work, if we're going to do them justice, like concentrically and eccentrically and isometrically. So without getting into a big spiel about that, this is an isometric hold, right? So if I do, which is one of the reasons why going fast isn't wrong. I don't get into that whole thing. But you miss certain phases of the work, right? So this is, right, Chaturanga Dandasana. If you can do like crossword puzzles like this, you know, Sudoku or whatever your thing is. But if this happens, right, you're going to do shoulder joint destruction, right? If not today, hope not today, eventually, hope not today. You might need to put your knees down, right? So you'd be better off, the way I'm saying this is we're going to do it again, right? You'd be better off with your knees down, and then you got to keep your belly toned and your tush toned. Before you go from plank to chaturanga, it is key to go forward, right? Then lower down, so my thumb tips are more in line with the center of my chest. Some of you may be able to do one knee down, one knee up. Some of you both knees up, right? We're going to try to hold it for 5 breaths, not 2 minutes. 5 breaths. You could do 2 minutes later. Okay, start on your knees. Shift your chest and face forward. If you know very well that you can do a great chaturanga, meaning your arm bones can stay back with your knees off the floor, lift your knees off the floor or lift one knee off the floor. Otherwise, keep one or both knees down, shift forward and lower down until the fronts of your shoulders are elbow height, and hold. So you have to keep the engagement in the upper back, right? Lower your hips, PJ, right? And then lift your shoulders. Like that. Hold for one more breath. Oh, exhale, lower all the way down. So upset to ever lower down. Like that way. Put the top of your forehead on the floor. Interlace your fingers behind your back. All right? Lift your arm bones up. By that I mean towards the base of your neck. Draw from your hands all the way up your arms into your upper back. Right? Tone your biceps more, Annie. Your triceps. If your arms hyperextend, that means you got to do more bicep work. Come over later and do some bicep curls. Like that way. Right? Shoulders back. Press the tops of your feet down. Engage your legs. Engage your belly and your tush. Press down. Inhale. Lift your torso up. But keep the tops of your feet here. There's all kinds of different variations of locust pose Shalabhasana. Press your feet down. Lift your arm bones up. Keep your biceps and your triceps engaged. Upper back engaged. If you feel any compression the last 2 breaths in the back of your neck, move your chin towards the top of your chest a little bit. Right? Like resist the looking way forward and up. Exhale, lower all the way down. Release your hands, please. Put your hands alongside your chest. Line your thumbs up with the bottom of your chest. Point your feet straight back. Like press the big toe side of your feet down first. Hug your outer ankles in is another way to think about it. And even flare your pinky toes out. Your patellas, your kneecaps should be off the floor here. The base of your thigh off the floor. Right? Keep that. Tone your tush right in the middle. Tone your low belly. Tone your upper back to move your shoulders, right? Like the fronts of the shoulders, elbow height. Inhale, go forward, then up, then back. Right? Keep the hands down, the top of the sternum up. Remember, manubrium. You can say manubrium. Manubrium. Shoulders back, sides of the neck back, tips of the ears back. Take one more breath. Keep your shoulders back, your head back. Right? Exhale, go straight back to downward facing dog, which requires flexing the feet. Bottom of your exhalation, please step your right foot forward, come into Ardha Chandrasana. Half moon pose, right? Like Ken is in the black and gray, like Annie is in. Please place your left hand for a moment on your left hip. Look down the front of your body and locate the tips of your toes. Like you should be able to see your toenails, okay? Make sure your right foot is straight, even the tape on your right toes, right, like that way. That's how you always know which way your foot is pointing, right, like that. Squeeze right above your right kneecap. Now with your hand on your hip, begin to turn open perhaps. If you need more stability, keep your gaze down, right? But turn belly open, chest open. Maybe your gaze turns up, then your arm can open up. Right? But open the arm. Think of the arm as being like the icing on the cake or the whipped cream on top of the sundae. So the whipped cream comes last, right? But build it up from the cup to the ice cream and then the top arm, like this way, right? Enjoy one more breath. Exhale, turn down to the floor. Keep your left leg lifted, thank goodness. Put your left hand on the floor. Look at your left foot and point the toes of your left foot straight down. Turn your outer left hip down and your inner left thigh up. Keep your left leg straight back from your left hip. If your hamstrings are tighter, you would raise your hands by putting them maybe on a block or two, like this way. Now just staying with the leg lifted in this form, which is more the sagittal plane, would be stage 1. Some of you on your next inhalation, pick your right hand up and put your right hand on your right hip, but keep the left leg lifted. Pin your right shoulder back by engaging your upper back. Begin to twist open to your right towards the standing leg from the backside, like from your left kidney, your left rib cage. And then you can even open your top arm up so that your wrist is straight above the shoulders. As you open, keep the lift in your back leg, in your left leg. Keep the engagement in your abdominals. Try to get your left leg for one more breath as high as your hip without bending the knee. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, step or jump back to plank pose. You could take one moment for self-reflection or self-pity. Just one moment. And then move on. That would be my suggestion. Inhale, shift your chest and face forward. Exhale, do Chaturanga Dandasana. Maybe your knees go down. And then inhale, do a back bend, right? Somewhere between like upward facing dog, which is straight arms but shoulders over wrists, and the tops of the thighs are up, or lower is going to be more accessible, like with the arms bent. Get the shoulders back before you take your head back. Keep the upper back engaged, the shoulders back, the hands down, especially the inner edges. Right? Exhale, go back to downward facing dog. Smooth your breath out. Check any sort of areas in your, especially your face, that may be tensing, gripping, right? Soften, like consciously, you have to sort of tell yourself, you have to put your awareness in your muscle. Tell it to relax as much as you have to tell it to sort of engage. Okay, bottom of your exhalation, left leg, Ardha Chandrasana. So locate the floor with your eyes first. Make sure your left foot is straight. Lift your right leg up. And you could feel, you don't have to look, But if you look down the front of your body, you should be able to see what color your toenails are. That's a key consideration as we move into fall now, right? If you've switched from a summer color to like an autumnal color, lift your right leg up, tone your abdominals, turn up with your torso, maybe also your gaze. Maybe keep your gaze down, like that way. Then the arm opens. If you open the arm up, have your right wrist straight up above the right shoulder. Right wrist above right shoulder above left shoulder above left wrist. That's the more or less of it. Enjoy just one more breath here. Exhale, turn down, square the hips by turning, put both hands down, by turning your outer right thigh hip down and your inner right thigh up. That makes sense? Without bending your right leg, lift your right leg from your right gluteus maximus, your tush, right? Also, your hamstrings participate in that. Keep both hands down, maybe, or inhale, lift your left hand up, put your left hand on your left hip, begin to twist open, maybe, twist from the back of your right rib cage up around to the left, right? Open the arm up, maybe, that's more what we'll call the sort of, full form of the pose. Turn your gaze skyward, maybe, or you keep it down if you need more stability. Keep your breath smooth. One more time. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, put your hand down. Step or jump back plank pose. Do 2 times plank to chaturanga to cobra up dog. So you do a little mini group, right? Hug your outer ankles in, like you hug the stripes of your tights in, right? Go back to downward facing dog, do one more. On your next exhalation, please bend your knees to the floor and come into child's pose. What? We won't get too carried away. This is the seasonal child's pose. So I recommend like one child's pose, every season. Just kidding. Kind of. Those of you who know me know, not kidding so much. Okay, walk, please, your hands back, press down, inhale, rise up. Okay, please step your right foot forward with your left knee on the floor, like a low lunge, like this way. Point, you can do flex, but point your foot, right? But point your foot straight back and resist, right? The back foot, the left foot I'm talking about, like Julian's doing, which is patting the knee is a fine idea, right? If the floor is hard for your kneecap, that way, place your hands on your hips, right? Hug the outer ankle of your back foot, hug it in so that you weight the inner edge of your foot. Even though your foot is pointed here, right? Keep the inner edge anchored down. Now, on your next inhalation, Move your hips back a little bit, like back your hips off like a few inches. Look down towards your navel. Tone your belly. Anchor your front ribs down towards your pubic bone, like this way, right? Then keep that. Lift your chest up. Engage your upper back to move your shoulders back. Slide the sides of your neck, the tips of your ears, your upper palate back. Bend further into your front leg. And then even extend your arms so that possibly your fingertips go closer or maybe even all the way to the floor. Some of you could even celebrate yourself by stretching your arms up overhead, like handstand arms or like downward facing dog arms, right? Some of you could even grab your back foot possibly without lifting your foot off the floor. Press down, inhale, come up. Keep your belly toned, lead with the top of the sternum, come up, then the head follows. Either put your hands down or don't and switch legs. You know, like it's very, very, possible just to jump switch, right? It's plyometrics, been around forever, long before yoga adopted the jump switch, right? Okay? Move your hips back. So it's sort of like a bowing in maneuver. You can bow into whatever you choose to, right? Yourself, some part of yourself, right? No bowing to me. Tone your belly, right? Tone your buttocks. Then curl the chest. Engage the upper back to move the shoulders back. Sides of the neck, earrings, tips of your ears. Upper palate back, right? Then maybe the crown of the head back. Hands could stay on the hips or touch the floor, maybe with your fingertips. Touch blocks. If you have long arms and really stretchy hip flexors, it's easier to touch the floor. Keep your head back. Press down. Inhale, rise up. Put your hands down. Back to side one. Okay? This time grab, put your left hand down inside your right foot. Lift your left foot up. Lift your right hand up. Reach back and catch your left foot with your right hand. Right? Engage your upper back on your right side, both sides, but especially the back arm side. And then draw your heel in towards your tush. When you bring your heel towards your tush, right, resist the turning in of your toes and contract, engage, right, connect the muscles of your left hamstring and buttock more towards the bone. Like squeeze, right? So to affect more of a stretch on the muscles on the front of the leg, right? The hip flexors primarily, engage the opposing muscles, the muscles on the back. You could come onto your left forearm to get the heel in even deeper. Enjoy just 2 more breaths. On your next exhalation, release the foot, right? Come back to center with your torso, put your hands down or don't, and switch sides. Have your front foot, like with your back knee on the floor. It is okay for your front knee to go forward of your ankle. Obviously, there might be a point if you had like knee compression issues, anything like that, right? Back foot up, opposite hand to foot. Right? Keep the upper back engaged. Like the muscles that go from the inner edge of your shoulder blade towards your spine engage those muscles. You got to kind of tell yourself, like, squeeze. Right? Maybe your heel touches your tush, maybe not. You know, if you had any knee closure issues, I mean, there's other, you know, hip flexor stretches, but also you could put like a roll or a spacer or like a blanket behind your knee, which is effectively decreasing the knee flexion, which tends to help if that's an issue. Enjoy one more breath. Exhale, release your foot. Switch back to side number 1 again. OMG. I'm back in whatever era. I've just caught up with OMG. I get texts with, what are they called? Initials, whatever, and I have to literally go to the sort of texting Instagram dictionary to figure out what the person is talking about, which is okay. I feel like my knowledge is being expanded. Okay, left hand to left foot now. Same hand, right? This way. Keep the shoulder up and back. Some of you could even hold your foot with your elbow crease and do, I think, what folks used to call mermaid pose, where the other arm comes behind, right? Like this way, right? Sue's wearing her mermaid colors today. Now it's called mer-person pose, to be more politically correct. Mer-person pose. Square your torso more to the front. On your next exhalation, release your foot. Switch to side 2. If you widen your foundation a little bit, that will help you. I mean, just functionally, you know, the more to the midline you are, it'll be a little wobbly. Obviously, you could go too wide, but a little wider and a little longer will help your ability to open. It'll give you a bigger stretch, for lack of a more, not to use, for lack of a technical term. Same hand to foot. Chest up, shoulders up and back. Right? It's Anjaneyas, like low lunge, thigh stretch, or really Ekapada Rajakapotasana 2 prep. Keep even here, like the more you curl back, the more you have to engage your abdominals and your tush. Exhale, release the foot, lie on your belly. Please bend your right leg. Right? Like this. Place your hands on the floor alongside your chest. So line your thumb tips up with the bottom of your chest. And have your right leg like initially bent so that your leg is more than 90 degrees. So your right ankle above your knee. And press your knee down even from the inner edge to the outer edge, like your kneecap square into the floor. Like push the knee down, like rather than trying to lift the knee up, which we will do in a moment, right? Press the knee down to move the sit bones and the hips up and back. Really what you're doing is you're doing more anterior pelvic tilt. Then tone your belly, tone your tush, right? Lift your knee up from your hamstring and your buttock as you take your torso forward, up and back. Like lift your knee up. right? Like lift your knee up as high as you can. You may even get a hamstring cramp for no extra charge, like that way. Enjoy just one more breath. The more you bring your foot, your heel towards your head, the more hamstring you involve, like that way. Exhale, lower down, like that way, right? Bend your other leg. Just do both sides. I don't care really which one you did first. Press the knee down, right? Annie does like fantastic spreading of the toes, which will help activate the muscles in the foot and ankle and all the way up the leg. Press the knee down, move the hips back, tone your belly and your tush. And now right, arm bones up and back, as you lift your leg up, your left leg and your torso up together, right, like this way. So you're doing lumbar extension and more hip extension, right? And knee bending, which is knee flexion, and you even try to get your heel to your tush. Go, Annie. Can anyone touch their tush with their heel? Right? It's like a hamstring curl. Exhale, lower down. Straighten the leg. Okay, now bend both legs. Right? Press your knees down. Put your hands alongside your chest again so that your thumbs more or less line up with the bottom of your chest. Knee the floor. Right? To do initially more anterior pelvic tilt. Then match the anterior pelvic tilt by toning your belly, and you'll get more lumbar curve, lumbar extension there, right? Then tone your belly, tone your tush, a whole bunch. Keep that, a whole bunch not being a technical term. Engage your upper back. Inhale, go forward, up and back with your torso, right? Bend your legs. Keep your ankles as wide as your knees. Bring your feet to your head via knee flexion, and then curl your torso back and your head back via lumbar extension, and magically, surprisingly, touch your head and feet together over your hips somewhere. Exhale, lower all the way down. One more of this. Yippee yahoo. So not everyone's head and feet are going to touch. Thank you for telling me. Like that way. But it is distinctly possible, right? Someday, right? Place your hands, bend your knees, press your knees down, the tush initially up, keep your ankles as wide as your knees, your feet as wide as your ankles. Okay? Tone your belly and your tush, tone your upper back to move your shoulders back. Inhale, go forward, up and back, like you're lengthening as you're curling, right? Shoulders back, head back, feet to head, head to feet. This way. Take one more breath. Exhale, lower all the way down. Okay, please do like some sort of a breakdancing move and come lying on your back with your feet pointing towards the windows. I see. Huh? It's okay. So feet this way. Now, if you gave your block to someone else, not to take back your gift, but you could ask for the return of your block. And please bend your legs and put the block between your upper inner thighs. Like that. Bend your arms like 90 degrees. This way. Keep your gaze straight up. Have a curve in your neck and a curve in your low back. Okay. Squeeze your block, and then also tone your belly, draw your belly back towards your spine, and squeeze the muscles that you sit on. Okay? But maintain curve in your low back. Okay? Keep your gaze up, your shoulders back, your chest up. Press down through the inner edges of your feet. Inhale, lift your hips, right, straight up. Keep squeezing the block with your upper inner thigh muscles, right, like this way. Lift your hips up as much as you can, right, keeping your abdominals and your tush engaged enough not to compress your lower back. Okay, now, for some of you, you could continue to squeeze the block, but stretch one leg up to the ceiling. Yeah, that's it. Think that way. Lift your hips up as high as you can, but maintain the belly and the tush squeezing. Put that foot down, lift the other leg up. Try not to let the hips drop towards the floor. Keep the hips lifted, right, by pressing down, right? Enjoy one more breath. Bend that knee, put the foot on the floor, bring the hips all the way down. Okay? Okay, now flip your hands for Urdhva Dhanurasana, or you could stay with bridge pose, and you could stay with you know, we're going to try to do at least the first Urdhva Dhanurasana with the block between our inner thighs. And we want to hear the sound of no blocks dropping. Right? So you got to really hold on to the block, you know, Scout's honor, with your adductors. Okay, place your hands for Urdhva Dhanurasana so that the fingers, the hands outside the shoulders, the more open you are in the shoulders, open, right? There's that word, that very technical term. The deeper under your shoulders your hands will be, right? If you're tighter in your shoulders historically, like up until this point, moving your hands a little wider will help you, okay? Spread your fingers, right? Bring your consciousness into your hands and feet, right? Because those parts of us will be foundational in a moment. Connect the inner edges of the hands and feet into the floor initially. Keep that. Plug the shoulders back. Tone the belly and the tush. Press down. Inhale, lift the hips up. Move the backs of the shoulders to the floor by engaging the upper back. Take the head back. Come up to the crown of your head. Squeeze the block. Resist the tendency for the feet to turn out or to excessively, right, abduct or turn out. Oop, there's one block. Right? Squeeze the block. Inhale, go all the way up. Try to squeeze the block like you're trying to get maple syrup out of the block. Like you have pancakes, but you don't have any syrup. And let's say this is a maple wood block and you're trying to get some syrup. Right? Keep squeezing the block. As you exhale, lower all the way down. And then you can let the dust settle. Meaning like now you can sort of like let everything kind of more or less sort of relax. Okay? Now, if the block made you agitated, hopefully not angry, you don't want to go to yoga happy and leave angry, you know. But if it made you, for whatever, don't use it. But you could use it. But keep that same action. So the inner thighs, the way you would keep that action without the block is isometrically. It means you do the action, like isometrically pull your feet towards each other. But let's say they were super glued to the floor and you couldn't move them. Okay, Urdhva Dhanurasana number 2. Ready, set, or Setu Bandha, bridge pose. hold my ankles like that. Once you're up, I'm going to turn you loose, which I may regret, but I don't think so. Once you're up, walk your feet out, right, like that way. Count off 10 good breaths for yourself, and then straighten your arms more. Lift the heels of your feet up. If your arms are bent, you could lift the heels of your feet up, push down through your hands more, and maybe even, and then whenever you're ready, come down. And then maybe even, right, keep the heels up until you get your arms straight. Right? Right? You know, coming down is by invitation. Yeah. You know, 10 breaths is a sort of beginning point. You can go up to like 108 minutes. That's the limit. Okay. Number 3 with options for some. Annie, can you do Urdhva Dhanurasana? If you have your arms straight, then you're a good candidate to do Dvipada Viparita Dandasana. So the arms bend, the head comes down. Switch the arms for like Shirsasana 1 arms. So the fingers are interlaced and the forearms are stacked. And the wrists and the elbows are down, but the head is off the floor. Right, like this way. If your head's kind of sort of borderline, you could lift the heels of your feet up. This would help. There's other ways to help, but that's the quick, you know, which involve going to the wall, etc. Like this way, right? And then you'd go head back down, hands where elbows are, right? Go back to Urdhva Dhanurasana. Then come back to the earth, right? Or just do Urdhva Dhanurasana, or, right, just do Setubandha Sarvangasana bridge pose. Okay, I'm ready. Which doesn't really matter that much, but okay. Belly and tush, I'm a big believer in it. Well, let me elaborate on that. I'm a big believer in the engagement of the abdominals and the gluteus maximus in general, and the strength development, but especially like in back bends. Evidently, if you have striped tights on, it helps your back bends. Striped shirts on, stripes on. See, Julian's got stripes. Okay, turn to one side, press yourself up, and then actually stand up after all that. Okay, now stand on your left foot at the top of your mat and have your left foot straight and curve your low back and simply lift your right leg with your right knee bent. Okay? Tone your abdominals. Take your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. Keep your right knee straight out from your right hip. And then the big thing is keep the extension, the lordosis, right, in your low back, right? And then twist from the backside around to the front, and then even maybe open the arm up, and maybe even track your eyes like back in the direction of your right hand. Or for sure, you could keep your gaze more down to the floor. Enjoy just one more breath. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, bring your right leg down. Side 2. Stand on your right foot. Lift your left leg up. Curve, showing, the back, like extend the low back, which if you tone your abdominals and tone the muscles alongside your spine, again, the erector spinae, it will help to extend your lumbar this way. Right? Begin to twist from your backside around to the left. Maybe open your arm up. Maybe open your gaze up. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, bring that leg down. Okay, now repetition number 2. Either stay with the same form, or you could hold the back of your thigh, and as long as you can keep the curve in your low back, you could straighten your leg, right? And then twist. Some of you can hold the foot, right? Hold the foot and straighten the leg, right? This way, like that, okay? So you're either same form with the knee bent, or holding like in other words, the higher up your leg you hold, the further away from your foot, the easier it is to get the leg straight, right? And then you'd hold with the opposite hand, but you have to maintain the curve, the extension in your low back. Keep, and then lower your foot, and then squeeze here. Like that way, and then lift your chest up and your shoulders up, like stand tall, right? And then squeeze here, like that way. Twist from your backside. Right? Whoa. Inhale, untwist. Exhale, bring the leg down. You want to make it challenging, ongoing, you'd stand on the blanket like we did earlier. Right? Stand on a blanket, close your eyes, etc., etc. Blindfold. Right? Leg up. Maybe you hold here, right? Like above the knee, right? Like that. Maybe you can hold your foot that way. Extend your lumbar, right? Then straighten the leg. Some amount, or keep the leg bent. Keep your shoulders over your hips. Things that make you go, Inhale, untwist, exhale, bring the leg down. Okay, now, Bakasana. Yeah, this is legitimate after back bends and twists. Bakasana is a forward bend. So watch Annie. Do Bakasana from Malasana, or Annie show them Bakasana from Uttanasana. This is hardest. So the arms are straight, and you walk in and you bend your knees to your arms rather than your arms to your knees. And here your knees are more on the backs of your triceps. And you have to scoop your belly like a lot, and buttocks down and heels up. This is for not the faint of heart. That way. Some of you can do it. Others of you can go, hey, Sue, can you turn sideways? Can you turn, yeah, like that way? Others of you can go from Malasana. So you curl, right? You're doing spinal flexion is the full form. So you have to work your belly a bunch, and then your heels up and your tush down, so that this part becomes more like higher, and eventually the full form of the pose, the arms straighten. And this will additionally stretch your rhomboids out and strengthen your serratus anterior, right? 5 to 10 breaths. Okay. Some of you could go from, if you're super comfortable and you want to go from Shirsasana 2 at this point in the routine, that's fine with me. Or you want to enter your Bakasana from handstand, and you can promise that you wouldn't fall on anyone. You could do that. If you use your block as a launch pad, that's a really smart way of getting your legs higher up your arms. Inner edges of your hands, maybe even just, and then tush down, heels up, and belly scooping. You might get cramps in your abdominals if you're working enough. And then feet down, stand and fold forward and do Uttanasana one final time. Right? Symmetrical forward bend. Wider feet is more forgiving. Hands up, more forgiving. But make the weight evenly distributed in your feet from the front, the ball, to the heels, from the inner to the outer edge, so that the legs, as you sort of scan your feet and legs and body with your consciousness, your legs are more in a perpendicular plane to the floor. And your belly toned to stretch the muscles on the back side of your torso alongside your spine more. Tone your spinal flexors more to stretch your spinal extenders. On your next exhalation, bend your knees. Bring your seat all the way down to the floor, to your mat. Lie on your back. Lift your feet up, if you please, and bend your knees in towards your chest. And you could even go side to side, even circular around the backside of the pelvis. So you use the contact of the floor and your body to do like self-massage. Move in a way that feels good to you. And let the movements follow the breath. As you're ready, place your feet down and stretch your legs out. Make yourself comfortable enough, aligned enough, shall we say, to be comfortable, to be more easeful. Allow your breath to be natural. The sense that you're being breathed rather than trying to control the breath in any way. You simply align your body to allow the breath to move in a more easeful way. Here in Shavasana, allow the floor beneath you to hold you, to support you. The muscles in your face to soften. Around your mouth. The muscles in your jaw. The muscles around your eyes, so that the eyes set back into the floor. before we go back into the world, the gaze for a short period of time turns more inward. Gently and slowly begin to deepen the movement of your breath. And with your breath, you can begin to move your body little by little. Bend a knee and turn to your side for a moment and pause here. And into the support of the floor beneath you, push down to come up to sit. Sit tall from inside. Close your eyes with a sense of softness so that the inner gaze, the way that you look at yourself, is more beneficent through kinder eyes. This is the invitation. And then please fold the hands. Maintain an unfolded heart. And offer the goodness, the kindness, the brightness of consciousness as you out to yourself, to those around you here, and those who you hold near and dear who may not be here. To yourself you offer, and to something greater than just yourself, all together to finish in the sound of Om one time. Deep breath in. With the recognition of the light of consciousness as you and each other you bow. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you. Thank you so much.